If you've ever felt that quiet sense of emptiness, that something is missing, even when life looks fine on the outside, this is for you. That feeling isn't random, and it isn't because you're broken. So now the question becomes, what can help? And before we go any further, let me say this clearly. This isn't going to be about quick fixes, forcing happiness, or pretending the emptiness never comes back. This is about what we've been using to fill the empty space, and why it never lasts, and why so many of us have been looking in the wrong place. Most of us quietly believe that if we were doing life right, we'd feel better more often. And part of that belief comes from looking around and assuming that everyone else does. Other people seem more settled, confident, and at peace. From the outside looking in, it can feel like we're the only ones struggling with this sense of emptiness. But what we're usually seeing isn't the whole story. People tend to look better than they really are. They learn how to function, perform, and how to keep things moving, even while carrying the same questions and quiet ache underneath. And when we compare our inner world to someone else's outer life, the emptiness cuts deeper. But that comparison is built on an illusion. Emotions are meant to move. Some days feel light. Others feel heavy. And when we expect happiness to be permanent, the emptiness feels even louder when it fades. Wholeness isn't constant emotion, it's stability. It's having something solid beneath you when emotions rise and fall, something that doesn't disappear the moment your mood changes or life gets uncertain. The problem isn't that we want wholeness. That desire makes sense. The problem is that we keep trying to manufacture it, treating it like something we can create on demand instead of something we're meant to be rooted in. So we start reaching for things to steady ourselves, to make us feel better. Effort, relationships, control, constant self-improvement. We lean on them because they're available, because they promise relief, because they work for a moment. And none of those things are wrong on their own. They can even be great, meaningful parts of a healthy life. But they were never meant to carry the full weight of who you are or hold everything together. When emptiness comes from trying to live on substitutes, wholeness doesn't come from finding better ones or trying harder to make them work. It comes from returning to the place you were never meant to leave. And this is where God comes in. Not as a concept, not as something to add on when life gets hard, but as the foundation we were meant to rely on from the beginning. Human beings were never designed to be self-sustaining. We weren't created to generate our own worth, our own peace, or our own sense of wholeness. Yet so much of life teaches us to depend on ourselves, to be strong, to figure it out, to hold everything together. And that pressure quietly exhausts us, because no matter how capable we were never meant to carry the weight of life alone. When God becomes distant in our daily lives, not rejected outright, just crowded out, something inside us starts searching for replacements. We try to fill that space with effort, achievements, material objects, people, or control. But those things were never designed to do what only God can do. They can support life, but they can't sustain it. And the emptiness we feel isn't a failure. It's a signal reminding us where true foundation was always meant to come from. When that relationship with God is restored, something begins to shift. Quietly. Not all at once. Not in some dramatic, life-flipping moment. But the pressure starts to ease. The need to make people be everything, to let success prove your worth, to rely on control for safety, or to use money and things for temporary relief, begins to loosen. Not because those things disappear from your life, but because they're no longer carrying the weight they were never meant to hold. And slowly, without forcing it, your grip relaxes. Because when your life is rooted in God, love is no longer something you have to chase, earn, or secure. It becomes something you return to, steady, present, and available even when everything else feels uncertain. And this is where many people misunderstand faith. Faith isn't about trying harder to be good or proving something to God. It's about finally letting go of the idea that you were ever supposed to hold yourself up in the first place. It's learning to trust God with the parts of your life you've been carrying alone, the fears, the questions, the weight you don't talk about. And instead of rushing to fill the space when emptiness shows up, you pause, think it over, stop running, and bring it to God honestly, without polished words or forced answers. Talk to God like you would your best friend. And slowly, something changes. The emptiness loses its urgency. It no longer demands immediate fixing or control. Not because life suddenly gets easy. People will still disappoint you, and hard days will still come. But because you're no longer carrying it by yourself. Wholeness doesn't mean you never feel empty again. It means emptiness no longer defines you. It becomes a signal instead of a sentence, a reminder rather than a threat, a quiet nudge telling you something deeper needs attention, not something is wrong with you. So when that empty space shows up, don't rush to fill it. Don't explain it away. Don't panic or pressure yourself to fix it. Pause. Breathe. Let yourself notice what's really happening beneath the noise. Notice what, or who, you've been asking to hold you together. Because the shift doesn't begin with doing more, trying harder, or becoming someone else. It begins with coming back to God. We'll talk more about that next.